Hey guys, and welcome to my new video. Before we continue, I have a big announcement. I want to start streaming again, so for those that don't know about my stream, you can follow me at twitch.tv/DavyX3. The link will be in the description below. So I am making this guide today for those people that are new to Riven, and also for those people that have played Riven but want to get into playing her. Now obviously, when you are going to my YouTube channel, you already find videos on how to do the builds, the runes and everything, but I want everything about Riven to be in one video. And I also want everything to be as much up to date as it possibly can. So in this video I will be covering the pros and the cons, the runes and the summoner spells, the skill order and item builds, laning phase, as well as the mid-late game, team fighting and mechanics. Now going over to the pros and the cons, Riven can be picked in any team comp that you are playing with. She can be built as the carry for the team, and you can use a tanky build on her as well. She can also be used both as a split pusher as well as a team fighter. Since we got all of those options available, we can use her pretty much in every single game that you play. The second pro about Riven is that she is a very strong champion in the current season. This is the first time in 2 years of time that she's actually maintaining a win ratio above 50%. As you can see right here, she's actually maintaining a 50.54% win ratio while still being played by 5.79% of all the people that are playing her. Having this win ratio while being played by so many people is really good. As for the last pro, her ban ratio is very low. Even though that she is maintaining a very good win ratio and there's a lot of people playing her, her ban ratio is very low. Obviously, you don't want to start maining a champion when she's always being banned. Now going over to the bad things about Riven, she is a very difficult champion to master. Especially for those that are new to Riven, it's going to be very time consuming and it's going to take you a lot of time to understand her. Not only being able to know her limits and her power spikes, but also being able to do the mechanics flawlessly. And the last thing is that some matchups are going to be very hard. In the current patch that we are living in right now, champions like Urgot, Cannon and Lissandra are being played a lot. Those are the champions that counter Riven right now, and it can be very difficult if they master their champion. Going over to the runes, there's 4 rune pages that you can use right now. The first rune page that we will cover is Conqueror. This is one of the most basic rune pages and also one of the best. If you are playing against heavy tanks or you are playing against tanks in general, you always want to be using Conqueror. If you don't like sorcery as your secondary, you can also go into the resolve tree. This will also give you damage and it makes you a little bit more tanky with the bone plating. The resolve tree as a secondary can be applied to all of the other rune pages that I will show in this video. The next rune page that you can play with is Electrocute. This is the best rune page that you can go for if you want to build one shot in the game. Also, if you are playing the laning phase and you want to be able to short trade a lot and do as much damage as you can, Electrocute is the best way to go. Moving on to the spellbook rune page. If you want your summoner spells to be up more often, you can actually go for spellbook. I often take spellbook myself if I play against a matchup that I cannot kill. One example is Malphite. If I play against him, I rather have my teleport and flash to be up sooner. If you somehow still see the opportunity to snowball in the lane even when playing against Malphite, you can still switch your summoner spell to ignite. Moving on to the last rune page, which is Kleptomancy. I don't really use this one much myself. However, if you are playing against a tank that you cannot kill, for example that would be Malphite, you can still try to snowball on him simply by trying to proc Kleptomancy as much as you can. Moving on to the summoner spells, there's 2 options that you can go for. You can take ignite and flash, or you can go for teleport and flash. If you want to play very aggressive in lane, you can go for ignite and flash. Also, if you are playing against champions like Swain or Fiora that has a lot of health regen or lifesteal, you can remove this type of sustain simply by going for ignite. If you feel like you want to have a little bit more of a savior lane and you want to have the opportunity to roam, I recommend going for teleport instead. You will also have the opportunity to be able to split push in the mid-late game. Now, as for the skill orders, there's 3 ways that you can go for. The first one is maxing Q into maxing E and then W. This is the most standard one and also one of the best. If you are going for long extended fights and you're not really one-shotting, then this is the best way to go. The next one is maxing Q into W into E. This is the skill order that you will go for if you are playing with Electrocute and you are trying to one-shot. And as for the last one, we have maxing E into W into Q. You will typically go for this one if you are playing against very hard matchups like Cannon. Your shield is going to be lower cooldown and it's going to be better. Don't be afraid that you're probably going to deal less damage. damage, because most of your damage as Riven will come from your passive and not from your Q. Moving on to the item builds. For the starter items, you can either go for Doran Shield or you can go for Longsword and 3 potions. If you are going to play a laning phase where the enemy champion is going to poke you a lot, you always want to be going for Doran Shield. For the rest of all the other matchup, it really depends on you what you like more. For myself, I rather go for Longsword in most of my games, but if you want to have a little bit more of a safer lane, you can always go for Doran Shield. For full item builds, the first one that we will talk about is the one-shot build. You will typically go for this one if you are playing one-shot Riven and you are going for Electrocute. If you want to take one-shot to the extreme, you can also go for the full lethality build. However, I don't really like this one because lethality can easily be countered by armor. For the next item set, we have the 90% cooldown reduction item build. For those of you guys out there that don't understand how this item build works, you can go to my YouTube channel and look up for the video that I am showing you right now. I am explaining there what to do and how to make it work. For the next item build, we have Essence Reaver, but this time without the Black Cleaver. This is a very good item build if you want to get as much damage as you can in the early game. The last item is completely situational and you can build defensively or get more damage just as you want. Now as for the last item build, this time we don't have Essence Reaver, but instead you're rushing Black Cleaver as soon as possible into Dead Stance into Guardian's Angel. This is by far the most standard item build that you can go for, and this is also one of the best. Now moving on to the laning phase, one of the best things to do as Riven in the early game is by freezing your lane and set it up in a way that the jungler can gank you. Riven has a lot of CC that you can use to set up your lane, so always make sure you abuse that. Another thing that you could do while doing your laning phase, if you are having a really easy matchup that you know you can snowball, only play aggressive when you know where the enemy jungler is. By playing like this, you will prevent yourself from being ganked by the enemy jungler. Now let's move on to the mid-late game. So once you get out of the laning phase, you always want to make sure that you keep your flash up at all times. You should always use your flash for the next upcoming team fight so that you can engage and hit multiple targets at the same time. For the next thing, if you are playing with teleport and flash, you should always make sure that you are split pushing when the enemy team is trying to get objectives. If your teleport is down or you're playing with ignite, go to the side lanes and put the lane in a way that it will slowly push up to the enemy team. And then you want to group up, look for objectives or go for a team fight. Now as for team fighting, there's multiple things that you can do. The first one is to engage in the enemy team with your flash and hit multiple targets at the same time. The second option you have is that you can actually protect your ADC or your APC when they are really fed. This is something I often do myself when I have a really good APC or an ADC player. As for the third option that you have, you can be the front line of the team. Now I only recommend this if you don't have any tanks on the team and you are building tanky. If you are building Riven as the carry of the team, it's better to stay back and then look for the opportunity to go in. Moving on to the last section, which is the mechanics. I will show you guys an older video of mine which will contain one of the best combos in the game. So with this, I already want to say thank you a lot for watching the video guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the clip.